Hi, I'm Jacob Bleefeld.
Justine Binkley.
I'm Josh Alterner, and we have our lead consultant, Meredith Aberger, joining us over Skype later on. So we are Mobius Motors. We are based in Nairobi, Kenya. We are founded on the need for price-conscious all-terrain vehicles, and our goal is to achieve optimal pricing by providing customers with the bare essentials. Our vehicles have no AC, no glass windows, no power steering, and no door handles. This is a screenshot of our overall current strategy. We will go over the points in a minute. The first part is the target market. We aim to market at private buyers. There's a high income disparity in Kenya. The low income buyers get around $5,000 a year, will not have the $6,000 to afford the vehicle, and the high income buyers don't have the taste of a vehicle such as ours with the minimal benefits. Another target that we aim at is entrepreneurs, and the market is not typically wide enough to aim at those entrepreneurs. And the final target is NGOs, which is our best option, and my colleague will go over that soon. The next part is global expansion. We aim to market in different continents. There are many flaws with this. One of them is we haven't proven ourselves domestically yet. Another one is we strip ourselves of our biggest competitive advantage, which is price because of the import cost. And another one is there are limited countries that will benefit with an all-terrain vehicle such as ours with minimal benefits such as AC. The next part is providing financing. This is not a very smart idea because the low-income buyers that we market at will most likely default because they do not have the income to afford our vehicle. And in a default, we will lose our asset and the money. If we do retain the asset, then it'll be heavily depreciated at the time. Next part would be branding. We brand at high quality buyers. This is very confusing because we are a high quality, we aim to be high quality, yet we target at the low income buyers. So it doesn't make typically any sense. And our intended competitive advantage is price. We are tailored to landscape, and we are made in Kenya.
All right, so next we'll be talking about the SWOT analysis. So some of the internal factors that we'll start off with are strengths. So the entrepreneur has an eagerness to grow. That's a very good strength to have because it shows that you're willing to take risks to grow your company. And next, our company explores all possible sales networks. So as we previously said, we're looking into the NGO markets, and we've looked at the private buyers and the entrepreneurs. So it shows that we're looking into all different possible areas. And then our last strength is that there are profound social benefits to this. So when we start creating cars, that will also create new jobs in Kenya. So that's really great to kind of help out the community to have jobs, to have people making money, and this will also lead to them having more money so they can also buy some of the cars. Next, we will talk about our weaknesses. So the rapid growth mindset hinders meeting near-term goals. This is not good to have that mindset of looking towards the future and just like 5-10 years from now. We need to focus right now on how to perfect what we're doing currently. And my colleague will touch on that later. Our next weakness is the failure to conduct proper market research and identifying plausible target markets. So as we mentioned earlier, there are 3 different markets we're looking into, but I feel like we're looking too broadly into them, and we need to just focus on one instead of having 3 different areas that we're somewhat in. We need to pick one and just stick to it. Our last weakness is the lack of understanding of our core competency, which is that we are trying to be a versatile vehicle. We're trying to be one that is used for like different projects or different areas in the area of Kenya, but we're not trying to be a high quality vehicle. We're just more used for just different needs and uses around the community. And for opportunities, my colleague will touch on that later. We'll go into more depth about that. But the last external factors that we have are threats. So some of the threats we have is that there's a sizable risk of government instability, and then there's also the more reputable, price-conscious manufacturers could possibly take hold of the market. So like in India, there's Tata Motors. If if they were to come into Africa right now, they would dominate the market because their car is a lot cheaper and a lot more people know about Tata Motors. So that would not be good for us because they would just totally dominate and take over everything that we're trying to achieve. And our last threat was the NGO market responds poorly to the product. So we're trying to aim towards the NGO market, but if they don't take it, if they don't like it, then that is definitely not good for us. Now I'll pass it on to Jacob, who will talk more about our strategy.
So right here we have our Gantt chart. This is a 365-day Gantt chart because this is our 1-year engagement. And I'd like to start off with our 90-day plan. So from day 1, we plan on immediately halting the financing program. The financing program, as my colleague talked about, is not going to work. It's insolvent. The idea of loaning money or financing people that have significant credit risk, which is a very valid assumption considering their income falls between $5,000 to $10,000 annually. This credit risk in the event of a default means that not only is our company out of the cash, but we're also out of the asset. And in the event that we do and are able to recover, this asset is a rapidly depreciating asset as an automobile, and it would expire necessarily worthless. I'd also like to touch upon the fact that within these 90 days, we plan on centralizing production. Right now, our CEO, Joe Jackson, has plans to outsource our production, and this is harmful on multiple fronts. One front is the fact that there's transportation costs associated with decentralized production, incongruities with decentralized production, and the fact that having centralized production gives us more leverage over the government to provide us with incentives, which is something I'll be touching upon later. I'd also like to immediately disbar the rapid growth mindset, as my other colleague touched upon. This rapid growth mindset hinders us from reaching near-term goals. It also, having a near-term mindset allows us to bring focus back to our core competency, which is providing a utility vehicle, not a personal vehicle. And we need to attack this market and penetrate this market as soon as possible, which I will also touch upon in our 6 to 1 year plan. I'd also like to immediately, within the first 90 days, implement a Kaizen approach. The Kaizen approach allows us to personally improve as opposed to having a long-term goal that we would seek to meet. It makes us have personal improvements. And we need to find out what's not working on the ground level, and we can do this by implementing a suggestion box in our centralized production facility. Now I'd like to take us to our 6-month plan. So our 6-month plan is to move into the NGO market, the non-government organizations. The non-government organizations in particular, the agricultural transportation services, as well as the raw materials transportation services. The raw material transportation services such as aluminum and lead are major industries in the region, and agriculture makes up 34.5% of the Kenyan GDP. So now on to our 1-year plan. Alright, so I would like to, well, first off, our 1-year plan is to expand into government-run entities and secure government incentives. But we're going to do this by leveraging our reputation that we built the prior 6 months with the NGO, with the non-governmental organizations, and use this mutualistic relationship to build a new relationship with the Kenyan government. With this relationship with the Kenyan government, we plan on brokering deals to provide the Kenyan government with ambulances as well as Ranger vehicles. With this newfound mutualistic relationship, we then plan on deploying a lobbying effort to secure government incentives, which would thus bolster our profitability. And on to our long-term growth strategy. So our long-term growth, we are then going to, after this 1 year ongoing, we're going to shift our focus to regional growth. So right now we're planning on capitalizing on the Kenyan market, but we then, once we capitalize on this Kenyan market and we quench it in its entirety, we then plan on moving this focus to the surrounding African region because they are people that could benefit from this cheap all-terrain vehicle. And only after we quench this market in its entirety may we then, after substantial market research, look into crossing borders and expanding internationally. And now I'd like to take this to our colleague via Skype, Meredith Aberger.
Thank you, Jacob. So now I'm going to be going over the guide to implementation of our new strategy for expansion. So first, we're going to start off with our implementation of our 90-day plan. I believe that we should first start off with the CEO gathering his employees and announcing our new business strategy and implementation plan. First, that would be to stop our financing, disbar our rapid growth, focus on our NGOs as our first target market, centralize and standardize our production of the vehicles that we're making, and implement the Kaizen approach to determine how and where we can cut costs. We then have the implementation of our 6-month plan. We're going to first compile a list of the top 25 to 50 service providers in the agricultural and raw material transportation service industries in Kenya. We're then going to practice and perfect our sales pitch and product demonstration. After that, we're going to make appointments with the buyers of these service companies. We're going to conduct research on the individuals as well as the companies that they are associated with, so we know exactly who we're talking to and how we can market ourselves to them. We're going to begin with direct selling to these individuals while highlighting the key features of it, which makes our product stand apart from the rest. And then we're going to try and sell those first 50 cars that we have already had produced. Then we will go on to the implementation of our 1-year plan. We will begin taking orders for more vehicles from the NGOs. We're going to continue pitching our direct sales approach, and then we're going to start negotiating a broker deal with the Kenyan government in hopes to provide ambulances and ranger vehicles. And we're going to continue to grow domestically within the first year before we can think about expanding. In our company, we wanted to build a sustainable business. Economically, we aim to increase revenue. We want to narrow our focus aims and reduce wasteful spending, and both will increase profitability. Environmentally, centralizing the production network aims to reduce overall our carbon footprint on the environment. And socially, the production of African-built car aims to create jobs at home. Like Henry Ford did, he created jobs and paid his employees enough so they were able to go and purchase the products that they were producing. We hope to have Africa be a player in the automotive industry.